Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I made this video about this 1977 AMC Hornet in order to list the car for sale on AutoTraderClassics.com. To begin with, there's the front of the car. We'll start with the exterior of the car all around from the front to the passenger side, and you can see the paint's mostly original. Now that fender is not. It has been repainted because it has been replaced at one time before I ever owned the car. And also you can see from looking at the car, it's the base model, complete with the poverty hubcaps, with a bunch of extra trim, and at this time was popular, no vinyl roof, which in my opinion is a great thing. And here's some dents in the quarter panel and the door on the passenger side. Nothing that keeps the car from not being functional, but again, I want to show every fault there is with the vehicle in this video. And here you, long story short, whoever mixed the paint didn't mix it the best. And there's some rust on the bottom of the passenger door in the front, and a few more dents. I'm sure the dents all on this side came with why the fender was replaced, I would feel safe to say. On the other hand, remember the car is 48 years old, so it can have some faults. I've seen cars way newer with more imperfections, and here is the look at the driver's side. And before we get close up, you can see there's some more dents on this side of the car also. Same as the passenger side, nothing to keep the car from being operational, but it is what it is. Yeah, I thought about when I bought the car in 2008 of fixing all these dents and repainting the car, but since the car does retain so much of its original paint, even though it is somewhat faded, it's still presentable, and they're only original ones, so I decided to let well enough alone. At least you don't have to worry about somebody opening a door or something into the car and scuffing it up. Like I say, it's not like anything that's a showpiece, but it still looks presentable enough to drive. In my opinion, what I think of when I see this car, again, I was born in the early 70s, and when I first again started really becoming influenced with cars, and that was in the 80s, it sort of puts you in mind of something you would have seen like in the early 80s for sale on a used car lot. And there's probably the most of the rust was that quarter panel on the driver's side, and there's a look at the rear of the car, complete with the Ross Perot bumper sticker from the 1992 presidential election year. You buy the car, you'll be the only one, I'm sure, with one of those bumper stickers. I have never seen another one on anything. And here is some rust in the bumper. Now, on this, I do have an extra bumper that's rust free that goes with the car, that if you were so minded, you could change it. But on the other hand, yeah, the chrome's pitted on this, and one reason I've held off changing the bumper, the chrome's way more pitted on the other bumper, but it isn't rusted. And again, as far as talking re-chroming, that's not in my budget whatsoever. Now, I believe we've pretty much here covered the exterior of the car on the top, and we're going to open the door and take a look inside of the car. And there's those AMC door handles, infamous. They all function well on this car, but they were in the day big on braking. And there's some rust at the bottom of the driver's door on the bottom on the inside. And here on the outside, it rusted the same basic area on the door. And there's all the tags on the driver's door. The top tag is not real legible anymore, but at least they're in place. And there, take a look more inside of the car. And there's the front driver's seat, which you will see later. It doesn't match the rear seat. The rear seat is the original interior, but the original seat was all tore. I do still have it if you want to get it reupholstered, but I found this seat in the salvage yard, and I'm like, I'd sooner have a seat that's not all tore and busted up, even though it doesn't match the back seat. But the color matches the car fine. And you can see it's basic, no air conditioning, AM radio. And again, just four wheels and a seat, basic transportation in the day. And here's a look at the back seat, and there is what the original interior was. It's a shame the front seat wasn't in the same condition as the rear seat upholstery, but can have everything. Well, nobody usually sits in the back seat as much, and it appears whoever had this car didn't have any children or anything. There was no stains or anything from candy on the seats or ketchup. Furthermore, talking of the interior, it's worth mentioning now, the car was smoked in. Now, there's no cigarette hole burns in the seats, but on the other hand, if you're a non-smoker, you're going to say it smells like smoke. I personally really am tired on selling these antique cars and making excuses for it, because in the day it wasn't considered that terrible or wrong. Lots of people did it. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have, but anyhow, now you know that if it's a offensive thing to you, the car has been smoked in. And there's again more look at the radio, the gauges, and that 85,915 miles is actual miles. And here on the outside again is a scratch on the windshield on the passenger side. Somebody at one point failed to replace the wiper blades in time. And standard on these cars, the dash pad's cracked. There's a look at the VIN number. I'm trying to focus in. Hopefully it shows up good in the video. And here's just a more thorough look of all the places the dash is cracked on the car, rounded frosters. And body glow, I assume, means a protective finish applied to the paint from the factory, that sticker, but I really could not find any information on the internet. And there's the headliner. I do have the dome cover lens that's missing, but on the plus nose with the headliner, since it's not a cloth headliner, cheap car, it's not hanging down. And here's a look at the back shelf on the car. Again, the water leaked in at one point some. You can see it's stained. Since I've owned it, I've kept the car inside all the time, but apparently the former owner did not. And here we're going to look in the trunk. And in the day, the cars had a full-size spare, even though this wasn't a large car, but full-size spare, and the jacking instructions are intact and in place. Very legible, which is a plus in my opinion. And you can see the inside of the trunk lid is not rusty, common on a bunch of cars of the era, but again, no even any surface rust on the inside of the trunk lid, which is impressive. And there's just one more look at the trunk itself. As far as like the trunk weather stripping and the weather stripping on the car, most of it needs replaced, including those window wipes where the windows go up and down. But I don't think that's something, again, you're going to, if you're not driving the car every day in the rain, and that isn't really a 4-alarm emergency. And now we'll look under the hood. And there is the inline 232 6-cylinder engine. Yeah, just give you a little bit more overview of the engine from different angles, and we'll soon start the car up. And as far as under the engine, like the air cleaner and that, it does retain the original decals. Alrighty, that concludes our drive. And now I feel that my duty to show you, actually, in my opinion, one of the more impressive parts of the car is the undercarriage for the year of it. I mean, there is like the dent in the floor and that, but the rust is very, very minimal. And it's, again, sort of, you have a great foundation to do whatever you like with this car. Enjoy it as it is, or if you do so want to restore it or make some sort of a custom modification, resto mod out of it, again, you have a good building block underneath. Alright, now that I'm showing you underneath the car, while I'm doing this, I'm going to sidetrack and make some comments about the motor and the startup of the car in the previous videos. I wanted you to hear the motor running and the car starting and all. You noticed the car started fairly easily. I mean, yeah, it took a little bit till it wanted to idle smoothly on its own. Not uncommon for a carbureted car till the choke opened up. But once it was running, I'm sure you noticed a little bit of a, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, there was some belt noise squeaking. There is a noise there. It was in it when I drove the car years ago. It goes away when you drive it, but you can make up what you want. But I'm sure somebody's going to comment on it or ask me about it. So again, the audio's plain and audible as can be. You can make your own determination. In theory, when I first bought the car, I thought a conversion to a 304 AMC V8 would be nice, but again, that's sort of one of the reasons I'm selling this car. I don't have the time or the money to truly enjoy the hobby, and I have other old cars, so again, there's only so much you can do. That being said, though, this car would make someone that, especially younger, that has no old car that's interested in the hobby, would be a great starting point. Okay, now there you can see that bumper brace. I did take and just smeared some fiberglass. There was a hole rusted in the corner of that bumper brace, and same with over on the other side. Just as far as underneath, the worst rust. And on the other hand, as I mentioned, I do have that spare bumper. Now the brace is good in that, even though the chrome's not as nice. I didn't think it was really that important, but you could take and pull the bumper off of this and switch the brace around inside if you're really traumatized by the bumper brace. But again, it's bolted securely to the car. And there's another look at that bottom of the quarter panel. And as you can see from seeing the other side of it from the bottom, it's not really that bad. And even like back there around the corner on the inside of it, it's solid yet, which is unusual because usually I swear they start rusting from the inside towards the out, but it's not so with this car. And also, but not bad for an old car, as you can see, there is some places like the rear end, there's a little bit of rear end grease and that, but nothing major. I mean, there's, again, an old car like this, little oil drippage or transmission fluid, and that's not uncommon. And it also still has the converter on it, which is unusual for a car of this era. And there, I put new brake flex hoses on it. A couple years ago, I was driving it. You can see it's still nice and shiny looking. And there's this looking up into the fender wells, the whole way up from the bottom to the top of the fender. Furthermore, I hope you found this video helpful in looking at all the details of the car. And also be sure to check out the photos in the description of the ad. There's over 50 of them to look at, and they're all, I tried to take as good as photos as possible. And there again, back down to that grease and oil. Again, nothing major, but it's there. Just sort of, again, as to the patina and used look of the underneath of the car. And there you can see the front apron's dented, which I'm also sure that's why the fender and the dent in the floor, it's all on the passenger side of the car, is all related to the one-time incident, whatever had occurred. If the car could talk, it could tell us, but unfortunately it can't. And as you can see we have seen them when I was showing the exterior of the car and the underneath. The tires, all four, have good tread, although the rear two are recap winter tires. Again, when I first bought this, it needed 4 tires, and to save money, I wasn't planning on using it much. I went as cheap as I could on 2 of them and bought 2 new ones. But due to the age of all 4, they should all 4 be replaced before using the car or anything serious. Well, on these words, I will let you go. This pretty much concludes the video. Thank you for taking your time and watching and the consideration in purchasing this car.